Welcome to another edition of HorseCenter, brought to you by Horse Racing Nation and Derby Wars. I'm Brian Zipse, and as always, I'm joined by the very capable partner, Matt Shifman.
As always, it's my pleasure to be here.
And Matt, I would be remiss without mentioning our top-notch producer back in Louisville, back in the home office, Ember Marr.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Ember.
Hello, Ember. I haven't seen Ember in days. I had a nice visit down in Kentucky, Matt, but I digress. Let's go right into the races. There was, I guess it was the biggest day in Pennsylvania thoroughbred history, Matt.
It was two great races, and they had an enormous increase in the betting handle, over $10 million, which was an amazing 88% increase in total handle. So who says racing is not popular anymore?
So all you have to do is draw a Kentucky Oaks winner and a Kentucky Derby winner to the same card of $1 million races, and you're golden. Makes sense to me. Yeah. Let's take a look at that Pennsylvania Derby that everybody was talking about.
Stretch. Still nowhere to go right now for California Chrome. On the outside, Temperature trying to get involved, but it's Bayern. Coming to the 8th pole. Bayern has opened up 3. California Chrome on the inside is giving his best, but he's dropping back. On the outside, Temperature is taking second. It's Bayern pulling away. They're coming down to the finish, and it will be Bayern. Impressive on the front end today. Bayern's got it by 5.
So as we see them cross the wire, we see Bayern all alone with Temperature and Candy Boy closest to him. No California Chrome in the picture. This was disappointing to a lot of fans, Matt.
It certainly was, and hey, I've seen that finish before in the Haskell with Bayern, and it was the Bayern from Monmouth Park again, and the Chromies were out in force on Saturday, and it was a really great atmosphere at Parks. The California Chrome owner, Steve Coburn, was in his glory, hanging out with the fans. All the Chromies were excited. We didn't see much from California Chrome.
We were excited only for a little while. Yeah, California Chrome did not run his race. I don't know, Matt. I think there's a lot of excuses. There's a lot of built-in excuses. Was he a short horse? He'd been away for 3.5 months. He came across country to a new track that's definitely different than some of the ones he's most used to. And he was stuck down on the rail the whole way. And Bayern got the golden trip for a speed horse. Personally, I'm not going to give up on California Chrome after the one start. How about you?
No, we certainly can't. But and as you said, Brian, lots of valid excuses. But for me, it does raise a little question, and I saw some other people thinking about the same question. Is California Chrome one of those horses that a little adversity and he has trouble showing his best? I don't know, but I think it's a question that we have to start thinking about.
Well, it's hard to get too down on him after 6 big wins in a row. And don't forget the Belmont. He certainly overcame adversity there to be in with a chance as early in the stretch of the Belmont Stakes. So I'm willing to give California Chrome the benefit of the doubt. I think he'll be much improved. He'll be a better horse next time back at Santa Anita. He's going to the Classic, and we'll see what he can do. It does, however, in my mind at least, really open the door for a 3-year-old Eclipse Award.
Yeah, we got a wide open race now, and it's not just 2 horses anymore. It's not just Shared Belief and California Chrome. Bayern has now earned consideration into that 3-year-old award.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the Jockey Club Gold Cup coming up soon, but I think the 3 horses, the 3 3-year-olds in there, all may have a say yet in the 3-year-old championship with a nice win in the Jockey Club Gold Cup. But let's get back to Parks, Matt, and the story of California Chrome and his disappointment was part of the story, but Bayern, track record, he won for fun, and you know what that means? He's that star of the week.
He is that star of the week.
Absolutely. Is this telling us that he is a threat? We don't know for sure if he's going to go to the Breeders' Cup Classic, or maybe they might drop him back down in distance to something like the Dirt Mile. But does this performance make him a threat at 1.25 miles in the Breeders' Cup Classic?
Hey, we've seen these kind of speed horses when they get loose and running free like he did in the Haskell and in the Pennsylvania Derby. We've seen them carry their speed the additional distance. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Baffert team decides to do on that new surface at Santa Anita, see how he likes it. He's, I've changed my tune. He's a neat horse, Bayern. Any horse that can go coast to coast and coast to coast like he has done. And he's kind of getting to be like a hickory kind of horse that nothing phases him.
But do you think he can win the Classic?
No.
I'm with you. Never say never, but he's kind of the replacement for Baffert's star, Game On Dude, who just retired. And much like Game On Dude, who was never able to get a clear lead in the Breeders' Cup, so many good horses, a lot of pace pressure. I think if Bayern does go to the Classic, he's going to be up against it a little bit, much like he was in the Travers. I'm not saying he's going to run as badly in the Classic as he did in the Travers, but I'm not on the Bayern Breeders' Cup Classic bandwagon. But I'm with you. He's a heck of a horse. And speaking of heck of a horses, there was a female edition of the Pennsylvania Derby. It's called the Cotillion. What did you think of the winner, Matt? What's her name?
Her name is Untappable, and I thought she was terrific. Ridden so confidently by Rosie on a racetrack that was favoring speed all day long. Rosie took everything in stride, had her a little bit more forwardly placed than before, and just sat right off a couple of horses that had some pretty good speed that looked like the track was playing towards them. And Untappable just very efficiently ran right by him. Big win for the horse. And
efficient, I think, Matt, is a good word. She was efficient, and she was the clear winner of the Cotillion, but it wasn't like her other filly races that we've seen this year where she blew the doors off everyone. Let's take a look at the Cotillion.
Outside, JoJo Warrior trying to dig in down at the inside, and Sweet Reason will try to sustain her bit on the outside. They're coming to the last furlong. Untappable forges a short lead. On the outside, Sweet Reason closing in. JoJo Warrior holding tough. Untappable, short lead with a 16th to go. She's beginning to edge away. It will be the incomparable Untappable. Untappable's got it by a length on the line.
So that was Untappable, winning by a length over Sweet Reason, with JoJo Warrior, one of the pace setters you mentioned, Matt, holding on to a very respectable third. JoJo Warrior was pressured a little bit by Cassatt early. She proved better of the two, and she held on and gave Untappable just a little bit of worry early in the stretch. But I think Untappable was clearly the best. Does this make her the 3-year-old filly champion no matter what happens the rest of the year?
I think so. It's going to be, with the quality wins that she's had, I think she's got it wrapped up.
Wrapped up? I agree with you. Somebody yelled at me recently when I said that she was the first horse that's truly, completely, 100% clinched an Eclipse Award. And, their argument is Stop Charging Maria has won the Coaching Club American Oaks. She's won the Alabama. She's going in Saturday's Beldame. What if Stop Charging Maria wins the Beldame and the Breeders' Cup Distaff? I don't think either of us think that's the most likely scenario, but I guess she's still in the hunt a little bit.
If she can pull that off, I'll be more than happy to have a tight race for the 3-year-old filly crown, because that would be terrific.
A tight race, good. A tight race, because I'm of the mind that Untappable's already done enough. Even if Maria was somehow to do those 2 wins in a row, I'm still going to be thinking Untappable was the best 3-year-old filly of 2014. And the Cotillion, getting back to the Cotillion, Sweet Reason ran a heck of a race. You mentioned the speed favoring nature. Maybe the rail was playing really good at Parks on Saturday. Sweet Reason ran a heck of a race.
She absolutely did. I had a feeling that she was going to handle the 2 turns better than she had at any point in her career, because I think she's a horse that's getting better, maturing, and I think she showed it there. And so again, she's got options heading into the Breeders' Cup too. She's got to decide which race she's going to go in. Options
are open. It's nice to have options. This is a difficult decision, I think, because the Distaff is the bigger race. But when you're talking about Untappable and Beholder and Close Hatches, that's a tough spot. She's got to go an extra 16th. The Cotillion was a mile and a 16th. The Breeders' Cup Distaff, of course, is 9 furlongs against those toughies. I think maybe the 7 furlong 1 turn race for Sweet Reason is the way to go. Not that that's a pushover, but she's excelled rallying into one-turn sprints, and maybe as a 3-year-old, that's the way to go in my mind.
It's a no-brainer for me. I'd go in the 7 furlong race because it seems to be right now. It seems to be a perfect distance for her, and I'm always of the mind, hey, I want to take the win. You know, I'd rather win a Breeders' Cup race than go knock heads with those 3 that you mentioned, and maybe pull a huge upset. But hey, I'd rather take the spot where I fit best.
Yeah, she's got a big shot. There should be speed in the 7 furlong Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint. She'd have a big shot to win in the distaff. Even though as much as I like her, I think it would be hard to say that she's got a good chance to win against that field going 9 furlongs. Speaking of the Filly and Mare Sprint, we had some interesting performances over the weekend outside of Parks.
Absolutely, the Gallant Bloom at Belmont.
How about this New York bred, Artemis Agrotera? We knew her last year. She won the Grade 1 for Zed. She looks even better this year, Matt.
That was quite a performance, and quite a surprising performance in the way that she did it. Because her last race up at Saratoga, she just blew out of the gate, wired the field, opened up a huge lead, and last Saturday, Rajiv decides. And he's riding super right now. He's super confident.
Mirage. It's no mirage.
Good one, Zipsy.
I think he's ridden a few Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint wins in a row, Mr. Shifman.
Good. Tell us more.
Well, Groupie Dot.
Yes.
Groupie. How can we forget Groupie Dot? By the way, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second because I had the opportunity to talk to Buff Bradley down at Kentucky Downs yesterday, which was fun. You can see the love, the passion in his eyes when he talks about Groupie Doll. So he had no problem talking Groupie Doll with me a little bit yesterday. So that was a pleasure for me. One of my favorite horses of the last 10 years. And hopefully Buff and I will be going to visit her at Mandy Pope's broodmare band sometime soon. So that'll be a nice thing for me.
Wow. And hey, and speaking of Mandy Pope and buying broodmares, I hear there's a couple of good ones that she's going to probably put some bids in on.
Beholder, Princess of Silmar. Yeah, just to name a couple. That's a sale that I might have to get down to, Keeneland November sale after the Breeders' Cup.
Wow, it's sounding like you're almost moving to Kentucky.
Almost moving to Kentucky, yeah. Hey, we got to go Artemis Agrotera, one of the main threats for the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint. Sweet Reason, Artemis Agrotera, you got to like them both. Let's take a look at this Gallant Bloom because, like you said, not only was it spectacular, not only was it thrilling, but it was out of the ordinary for her.
And La Verdad has opened up a 6-length lead as they come into the stretch. Artemis Agrotera was widest of all, is gaining ground on the outside with Willett, and then it's Merry Meadow. They're closing in on La Verdad. The lead is down to 3.5 lengths. Here comes Artemis Agrotera on the outside. La Verdad trying to hang in there. Artemis Agrotera driving on the outside. It's La Verdad and Artemis Agrotera. A photo finish! A photo finish in the Gallant Bloom handicap.
And it certainly was out of the ordinary, as I was mentioning earlier. I guess Roger recognized that there were going to be super fast fractions in the race, which there turned out to be, and he decided he was going to keep her off the lead. And he did that with those fractions. He didn't just keep her off the lead. He didn't stalk. They were last. They were way back.
Well, she broke on the rail, and I think she got kind of squeezed back a little bit more than he expected. And she looked kind of dead in the water for the first 5 furlongs of the race. So for her to win that kind of speaks of her class. Great win, exciting win. Fordo-like, Zenyatta-like, if you will. But she's the real deal as far as sprinters. I know Michael Hushin has talked about stretching her out, and he thinks she'll do well around 2 turns, just like Sweet Reason. But for now, it's sprinting. Next year, he's going to look for 2 turns for her.
And I love a sprinter that can come off the pace, especially in the Breeders' Cup, where you're almost certain to have a swift pace up front early.
Absolutely, and that's 7 furlongs. The fillies run 7, the males run 6. I think the 7 furlongs lends itself to someone who's finishing strong. Speaking of speed, How about Misbehavior? Did you happen to see that race?
I did see that race, and she just aired going the 7 furlongs at on the bull ring at Charlestown. She just blew him away.
Charlestown Oaks. It was a $500,000 race, Matt. They weren't running for peanuts. And if we thought the Penn Derby was over in the first quarter mile, what do you have to say about the Charlestown Oaks? Misbehavior took the race by the strangler. She took it by the throat latch in the first jump out of the gate, and she was gone. And she could have named her distance. She won by double digits, but it was an easy double.
And she was way throttled down in the stretch too.
Exactly. Another horse ran that day, same distance. It wasn't a $500,000 race, but it's an old friend. I thought we should mention Pants on Fire.
Yeah, and I think that was a great job by Kelly Breen putting that horse in a spot where he could win. And I talked about it before. You know, it's okay to take a shot once in a while, but you know, when you got a good horse, the most important thing is putting the horse where the horse can win. And I thought that was a great spot for Pants on Fire. I don't think he's a graded stakes winner anymore, but a race like that, pick your spots, you can win a lot more money.
I don't know. I don't throw him out. I assume he's going to make another run at the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. And I tell you, the last few races, I see nothing wrong. I think he might be very much as good a horse as he was last year. And I'd like to see him in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Last year he got that a little bit. Maybe this year he's 20-1. I'm with you. I like the confidence builder. It sends him to California in a good way if that's what they decide to do.
That Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile field could be a really salty bunch if all the horses that should run in that race do run in that race.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, because in years past it hasn't always been the strongest race. And I love a dirt mile. I love mile races like the Met Mile at New York. And this year there's a lot of maybes that could make it a very interesting, one of the more interesting Breeders' Cup races this year.
Yeah, and I think out of all the new Breeders' Cup races that have been added, I think that Dirt Mile is the good one.
Yeah, I'll go with you there. I think the original was 2007, maybe, when Corinthian won in the slop at Monmouth. And it's a good addition to the Breeders' Cup for sure. And of course, we should mention Golden Sense. The defending champion is looking good. He's going to stay on dirt after all.
Yeah,
be the stud of the studs of the Dirt Mile.
Good decision.
Yeah, and speaking of studs,
is
it time for Matt's Stud of the Week?
Stud of the Week this week.
Take it away.
Stud of the Week this week is Tap It.
Tap It.
Kind of hard not to be Tap It after the weekend that his daughter and the second place finisher, Tap It Sure, in the Pennsylvania Derby had. That was 2 tremendous races with Untapable's win. He's up to 18 graded stakes wins, I think, this year from his progeny. So the hits keep coming for Tap It.
The hits keep coming for Tap It. He's one of the best sires in the country. I just love the background music that Ember pipes in when you do your Stud of the Week. That's always fun for me. Yeah, Tap It, what can you say? He's one of the best. He wins $1 million race, and he runs second in $1 million race. A well-earned Stud of the Week. All right, so let's talk about, that was last week. Let's talk about this week.
Another big week coming up.
You're super excited for Super Saturday at Belmont.
I am super excited for Super Saturday at Belmont, and I'm super excited that I will be there at Belmont Park for 5 grade 1s and a grade 2. Total purses of the day, just under $3,900,000. Smallest purse of the day, $90,000.
It sounds like your pension from all those years of teaching school.
Absolutely, and food trucks too.
Food trucks at Belmont. What could be better? 5 grade 1s. The grade 2 is a very interesting race, but I think the headliner of the day is the Jockey Club Gold Cup. It's been a big race for a long time. It used to be 2 miles. It used to be 1.5 miles. It's 1.25 miles these days. But we have an interesting field in that I don't think there's one standout. Rather, there's 6, 7, 8 horses that probably would win without much of a surprise.
And they drew a big field of 12, if I'm not mistaken, and a lot of really nice horses in there. I think we'll talk a little bit more about it later.
We'll talk a little bit more about it later, yeah, but we're looking at the past performances. And if you look at the 3-year-olds in there, there's 3 3-year-olds. They ran a pretty good race at Saratoga in the race of the meet, maybe at Saratoga, the Midsummer Derby. Let's take a look.
He's now running fourth, and the field turns for home. Top of the stretch, Bayern coming up empty, not wicked strong, he's got the lead, and Mr. Speaker gonna try to take it to him. VE Day late on the scene, Tonalist, down toward the inside, coming to the final 16th. It is still wicked strong, but here comes VE Day with a final try. Who will win the Travers? It will be Too Close to Call!
All right, so that was VE Day getting up to nip his stablemate, Wicked Strong, with Tonalist in close pursuit. All 3 are back in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, but we have Zelo, we have Moreno, we have Stefanozzi. Who else? I mean, it's Prayer for Relief, Last Gunfighter. The list goes on and on.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite?
I think I'm leaning towards the 3-year-olds.
The 3-year-olds, okay. Well, hold that thought, Matt.
I will.
Earlier in the card, it could be It's My Lucky Day using the grade 2, 1 turn, 1 mile Kelso as a prep for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Eddie Plesa Jr. is saying, we're going to do things a little different. What do you think?
You know, Eddie Plesa is, I think, a very underrated trainer. He's a quality trainer. He spends the summers at Monmouth. He spends the winters at Gulfstream Park. He's terrific with 2-year-olds. You can see the great job he's doing with It's My Lucky Day. He owns some of the horses. He does a terrific job. And I like his, I don't know if we could call it thinking out of the box, but I like this idea of prepping for the Breeders' Cup in the Kelso. Just going a mile, kind of giving his horse maybe a little bit of a break in terms of the distance. And then maybe he's also looking to make a decision about what he's going to do with his horse, even though he's saying he's going to go to the Classic. I like his thinking.
It's My Lucky Day. I like it. Yeah, horses used to do this a little bit, where they would kind of blow out a little close, of course, but they blow out with a shorter race and they get ready for the big race. The Kelso is a prep. He's going to be the heavy favorite in the Kelso, but it's a prep. It's a prep, and people, I think, lose sight of that. If his goal is to win the $5 million Breeders' Cup Classic, and he thinks this is the best way to do it, he doesn't need to give him another tough race in the Jockey Club. So I like to see it. I hope It's My Lucky Day does well on Saturday, and I hope that propels him to a run in the Classic.
Yeah, absolutely. And the field in the Kelso is no pushover. You've got some horses in there that are, have already shown themselves to be specialists in flat mile distance. Golden Ticket.
Didn't Golden Ticket run second in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile last year?
Yeah, we know that Golden Ticket loves the mile. He's 4 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds. Great Stir is another one, just coming off a big win, going the dirt mile, going the 1 flat mile at Churchill in the Yak.
Yeah.
Ran a big race, and he's another horse. 3 starts at the mile, 1 win, 1 second, 1 third. So it's not a pushover race.
No, it's not a pushover race. I think people are expecting It's My Lucky Day to be odds on and just roll away with it. But there is a lot of speed in there. It's My Lucky Day likes to press the pace or be close to the pace. He's going to have the chance to sit off horses because there's some fast horses in there, and it might set it up for Golden Ticket a little bit. Golden Ticket loves a lot of pace, and he loves an elongated sprint to rally into. So I'm with you. I think it's not a done deal that It's My Lucky Day wins this.
Yeah, and that's only race 4 on the Super Saturday card at Belmont.
Yeah, you got You got Main Sequence against a bunch of horses that could beat him in the Turf Classic.
Yeah, and aside from it being a great prep race, what an honor to win a race named after the great Kelso. The great Kelso,
exactly. The great Joe Hirsch, I thought you were talking about with the Turf Classic, and you have Palace. Interestingly, both Palace and Main Sequence are going for their 3rd straight Grade 1 on Saturday. I have a feeling that not both of them are going to get it. Maybe one or the other, but I'd be surprised if both pull that Grade 1 trio.
Yeah, that's an interesting of the day. There are some horses in the Super Saturday card that deserve to be big favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to continue the way they've been going? Like you said, Palace has been super, going for his third Grade 1 in a row. Main Sequence, I love both those horses. Main Sequence, I love Main Sequence, going for his third Grade 1 in a row in his third start for Grand Motion in the U.S. We'll see. I know Zipsy style. You're not going to be banking on both of them.
No, I'll be looking for some odds, maybe in a nice multi-race ticket. You know me, Matt. We can't leave Super Saturday at Belmont. We can't leave Belmont and go to Santa Anita's big day without paying a little bit of honor to one of the true superstars of racing of the last century, frankly. It's my lucky days running in the Kelso. And you often will hear when people talk about the greatest horse that ever ran, you'll hear Secretariat, you'll hear Man of War, you probably hear Citation. You don't hear Kelso's name as much as it probably should be.
You should hear Kelso's name, because there aren't many horses that can say they won 5 consecutive Horse of the Year titles.
5 consecutive titles. Let's take a look at one of Kelso's more impressive races.
Crimson Satan coming on third. Carried back to fourth, and Garwal is fifth. Coming through the stretch, that's Kelso in the middle of the track with Never Bend for the lead. Crimson Satan third. Carried back fourth, and Garwal is fifth. 20 yards to go. It's Kelso drawing away by 4 lengths. Never Bend second.
There he was, Matt, and those were no bums he was beating. Never Bend. Kelso was literally the best horse in America for 5 straight years. He didn't back into. I don't want to hear East Coast bias or anything. He didn't back into those 5 straight Horse of the Years. He earned it on the track. And,
absolutely, it's really appropriate that they have a race name for Kelso on this day, because he also won 5 Jockey Club Gold Cups.
5 straight. He wasn't able to run in the Triple Crown. And by the end of his 3-year-old year, he kind of proved that he was the best, starting with a big win in the Jockey Club Gold Cup as a 3-year-old, and he just kept going. So let's hear it for Kelso, one of the greats, dominated racing in the early 1960s. All right, now we can switch gears. Now we can move from coast to coast. I think the most exciting thing for race fans Saturday at Santa Anita, I don't think the card is as good. Sorry, California, but I don't think the card is as good at Santa Anita as it is at Belmont on Saturday. But I think people are very interested to see how Beholder comes back. She's going to run in the Yada. 2-time Breeders' Cup winner. Beholder's making her first race since Belmont Day. What do you expect to see in there, Matt?
I don't know, but here comes Beholder again, coming back from a long layoff again. I think this is going to be only her 15th start of her career.
That's right.
And can she do it again? Can she come back off the layoff and win another Breeders' Cup crown? I guess she can, because she was as impressive as any horse at the Breeders' Cup last year. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun seeing Beholder.
And Gary Stevens have taken the lead on the outside. Authenticity is second, Close Hatch is third, and Royal Delta no better than 4th at this point. And they're into the stretch, and Beholder's in front. Close Hatches on the outside is taken second. Authenticity third. Royal Delta won't get there. Neither will Princess of Somar. This is all Beholder. Beholder and the comeback kid, Gary Stevens, have won the Breeders' Cup Distaff with authority.
Yeah, of course the answer to your question is yes, Beholder can do it again. Close Hatches could represent the most sturdy of Breeders' Cup opposition for her in any of her 3 years in the Breeders' Cup. But yeah, Beholder is a force. She loves California. She's been working brilliantly for going on 2 months now in her return race. Remember, she came out of that Ogden Phipps on Belmont. Yes. Banged up. She was only beaten 1 length. So it's nice to have her back. She's led the race. This will be her 3rd race of the year, in fact. And there's a nice filly, a nice California filly, of course, in there, Iotapa, who could give Beholder a test if Beholder's not at her best. I'm with you, though. I want to see her do well and hopefully come to the Breeders' Cup and really set up a nice meeting with top of the list closed hatches and Untappable.
Yeah. Again, it looks like it might be another one of those distaff fields that's small, but a powerful small field.
And if people aren't excited about Beholder's return, they sure are excited about the 3-year-old sensation, the undefeated champion, Shared Belief, coming back on dirt. It's only his second start on dirt in his life. He's 5 for 5 on synthetics. He's 1 for 1 on dirt, and that was at Los Alamitos. That
does put an interesting twist to it. So it's not a done deal. It's not a lock. You know, he's on the dirt, and it's that new Santa Anita dirt course. So that adds a little twist of interest to it.
If he doesn't win this, I think there's going to be some disappointment. I would guess Majestic Harbor would be his biggest competition in here. There's a few others in there that are nice horses, but I don't think there's really any other Breeders' Cup Classic threats in there. Imperative, Fed Biz is probably better on a synthetic surface. So Shared Belief kind of needs to win this. It would be a big step down, a big deflation of the Shared Belief is a champion talk. But
yeah, you're going to have to believe if Shared Belief doesn't win this race on Saturday, then probably something was wrong, and we don't want that to happen.
Or he's not quite as good on dirt. So we'll see. We're going to look with interest into both Beholder's return and Shared Belief's race on the second time against older horses there. And the other thing, maybe the most interesting race of the day, Matt, out there is the Rodeo Drive. Attracted 14 fillies. We'll probably see 5, 6, 7 of these come back for the Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf. And the one filly I'm most interested in is Irish Mission. Clement trains this, used to be a Canadian-based filly, really good filly when the distances get longer. This is actually maybe a little bit short for a 1.25 miles, but it's an interesting prep that they brought her out there just with the Breeders' Cup turf filly and mare in mind.
Yeah, and hey, nobody's better on the turf course in our country than Christophe.
I'll go with that. I'll echo those statements. So I'd like to see Irish Mission, but it's a tough field, Miss Serendipity, and a bunch of good Californians in there, just to name a few. All right, Matt, I'm in the mood. I'm in a funny mood today. Bear with me, okay?
Okay.
I'm in a little bit of a funny mood, and I'm ready to do a little bit of, I won't say arguing, but maybe a little back and forth, a little debate here.
Okay.
Let's get back to the race of the week. Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Okay.
Who's more likely? Who's more likely to win the Jockey Club Gold Cup? I'm not going to ask individual horses. I want to know, is it the 3-year-olds that step up, or is it the older horses that defend things on Jockey Club Gold Cup Day?
Well, I think I let it slip a little bit earlier when we were talking about the big race. I'm going to take the 3-year-olds. I know there's only 3 of them in the field, so I'm going 3 against 9. And like you said earlier, it's a pretty tough field. But the 3-year-olds have the quality wins. The 3-year-olds have got the grade 1 wins of late. Moreno is the only older horse that has a grade 1 win of late. So I like the wins that the Tonalist has had in the Belmont. I love VE Day. VE Day is my pick in the race.
Really?
And VE Day is my pick. I'm taking the 3-year-olds, and I'm taking VE Day. And Wicked Strong just fell a neck short in that race.
One jump short.
I'm going 3-year-olds. What do you think?
3-year-olds, okay. I as I tend to do, I disagree. You're going to be surprised to hear. Well, VE Day's the one that I like least of the 3, actually. He's still got a little bit to prove to me away from Saratoga in my mind, but he's a threat. I think Wicked Strong and Tonalist, actually Tonalist of the 3-year-olds is the one that I am most interested in seeing. I think he might, returning to Belmont, I think he might be tough. And it's a good group of 3-year-olds. I don't mind your selection of the 3-year-olds, but I don't know. Moreno is a serious horse. He's bigger, stronger. He's kind of like the $6 million man, I guess. He's bigger, stronger than he used to be. And he's serious speed. I don't know if the 3-year-olds have seen anything like Moreno yet. And how about the Suburban winner? Zevo, 1.25 miles at Belmont. You know, he did nothing wrong at Saratoga. He couldn't catch them in the woodwork. But I think Zevo is the real deal. And, in Moreno and Zevo, I kind of think that the older horses might have a real good chance. Plus, you can't run a really improving Stefan Otzi, Last Gun Fighter, Prayer for Relief. Who am I leaving off? I think there's at least 8 good older horses in there to throw a monkey wrench in the 3-year-olds trying to step up. We'll see.
It's the time of the year for the 3-year-olds to do this. They're almost 4-year-olds now, so I don't really consider them 3-year-olds any longer. So I'm going 3-year-olds.
It's a good spot, and in a way, I want to see some of the 3-year-olds prove how good they are. So it'll be interesting to see. I love the mix of the race, though. Like we said, it's a deep field with a lot of possible winners, but the mix of the 3-year-olds never facing older before, and then good older horses in there, it should be fun.
Yeah, nice big field, which will make the pick 4 payoffs, regardless of who wins. Will make pick 4 payoffs really worth playing when you got a 12-horse field anchoring the All Stakes pick 4.
That's right. The Jockey Club Gold Cup, the favorite, almost like a Kentucky Derby situation. The favorite can't be too low. I don't know who the favorite's going to be, to tell you the truth, in the Jockey Club. So, you're going to get some odds no matter who you like in the Jockey Club, which is a good thing. Yeah,
that's a good question. At the very least, I don't know. I think one of the 3-year-olds might end up being the favorite, Tonalist or VE Day, but it's going to be a good race.
Yeah, absolutely. Party shots, Matt. It's time for party shots. I think we've rambled on long enough. So let's have a party shot before we leave our HorseCenter viewers out there in internet land.
My parting shot is kind of literally good. We're going to say goodbye to two of my favorite fillies. We're saying goodbye to Princess of Silmar, and we're saying goodbye to my Miss Aurelia. They're both retiring. It's time for both of them to retire and head on to their careers as moms. But at the same time, it's a time to really thank the owners and the connections of those horses, the Stankos and the rest of that group. They've been terrific for racing. They welcome people into their racing family. So many fans. And not quite in the same kind of way, but Mrs. Banky too. She runs her horses and has done a lot for racing too. Those are the kind of people that do a lot for racing. So fond thank you and a fond goodbye to 2 of my favorites.
2 of your favorites. We also say goodbye to Dreaming of Julia. Of course, late last week we saw Game On Dude. Joe Torre was involved with him, a man I respect a lot as a baseball man. Will Take Charge. You got to love Willis Horton, the owner of Will Take Charge. He's going to be retired over the best miler in Europe, Kingman. It was a tough week for retirements.
But they were all good for racing, not just the way those horses ran and as many times as they ran, but also the connections were fun and terrific for racing.
Agreed. But Matt, you say goodbye, I say hello. Who am I saying hello to? Palace Malice. I'm saying hello to Palace Malice. I'm going to say hello to him one more time, hopefully. Palace Malice, as you know, was my older horse of the year this year. I thought he was going to have a big year, and he did up until a point. Things went bad in the Whitney. He didn't do his best on Whitney Day. Bone bruise. They decided to retire him. Now, I think it's very interesting that a deal has been made with 3 Chimneys that obviously was very interesting, to say the least, to Cot Campbell, the man behind Dogwood. And the fact that they're willing to bring back Palace Malice next year is exciting. I know some people said, oh, let him retire. But they're only going to do this if he's 100% healthy. And I frankly, as much as Palace Malice improved from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, he's a younger horse as 4-year-olds go. As much as he improved, I can't wait to see Palace Malice on the racetrack at 5.
Yeah, hey, it could improve tremendously. We were talking about Kelso and how that horse got better and better and better the more he ran. Let's hope that Palace Malice can do some great things as a 5-year-old.
Kudos to 3 Chimneys Farm. Kudos to Cot Campbell at Dogwood. Hope to see Palace Malice back after he's 100% healthy. All right, guys, another HorseCenter's in the books. Thank you, Matt.
My pleasure, Brian. Thank you, Amber.
Thanks, guys.
We do this for the love of thoroughbred horse racing. And next week, we'll have all the action from a Super Saturday, both at Belmont and Santa Anita. So be sure to join us next week on HorseCenter. Thanks for watching. Say goodnight, Ember.
Good night, Ember.
Good night, Ember.